Hello dear friends, as always, it's your dear friend Alexander Umanchuk. A long time ago I released a video about the worst vocalist in history, where I mentioned Florence Foster Jenkins, who according to many critics and musicologists is considered perhaps the worst, the most cringe-worthy vocalist in human history. And I decided that this person deserves a separate video because, spoiler alert, her life story was far from simple and was in many ways rather tragic. In fact, the reason she gained such a title was due to certain circumstances which actually make for a great movie plot, and indeed her story was brought to the screen with film Florence Foster Jenkins, starring Meryl Streep and Hugh Grant. Florence Foster Jenkins was born Narcissa Florence Foster in 1868 to a well-known and wealthy American businessman. She began learning piano at the age of 8, and many predicted a brilliant future for her in music. Some even called her a child prodigy. But what went wrong, you ask? Why did she become famous as the worst singer in history? The thing is, as a young woman, she decided to pursue a career in music and moved to Europe. This decision did not sit well with her father, Charles Foster, who told her, "No dear, I won't be spending my hard-earned money on this nonsense." In the end, she saw no other choices but to run away from home. And not just alone, she ran away with her future husband, Dr. Frank Thornton Jenkins, who as it turned out wasn't the best husband, because at some point Florence contracted syphilis from him, and syphilis was a disease that couldn't be treated at that time. Given the fact that syphilis is contracted through, sexual relations, Florence was obviously not too pleased, which led her to leave her husband. Without the support of her father and her unfaithful husband, she was forced to turn to music and began teaching piano, until her father passed away from kidney disease. Florence inherited her father's money, but she didn't have full access to the wealth, only receiving periodic payment. At the point, she decided to fulfill her childhood dream of becoming a true opera singer. She started taking voice lessons from a metropolitan opera singer and began hosting classical musical salons. It was one of these salons when she caught the attention of American actor St. Clair Bayfield, who became her devoted companion. Many say he was essentially her common-law husband because they lived together and even shared a household. True, it was widely reported then there were no sexual relation between them, likely because of Foster's syphilis, which affected her physical intimacy. Nonetheless, they were inseparable, and St. Clair was extremely supportive and became her manager, organizing concert in New York. This concert was private because listening to Florence sing was particularly unbearable, as she never hit a single note. At the same time, it's unclear whether she realized this or was just pretending, perhaps pioneering the art of cringe-worthy performances long before it became mainstream. Contemporaries weren't sure whether her peculiar singing was due to her illness. Syphilis can affect the inner ear and brain, potentially causing such changes. Nonetheless, she continued to sing, tackling some of the most complex operatic repertoire, including Verdi, Mozart, Brahms, and Strauss, attempting the most challenging arias. Of course, there wasn't much left of these masterpieces after her performance. She couldn't hit a single note. Despite her lack of talent, Florence was a wealthy and aristocratic lady with many high society friends who supported her and in a way deceived her into thinking she was a talented and professional singer. A similar story was shown in the film with Meryl Streep, where Florence is convinced until the very end that she is a refined and exceptional vocalist. Only after the triumphant performances at Carnegie Hall, when thousands attended and critics released scathing reviews, does she become despondent, which leads to her death. Something similar happened in real life, but more on that later. Florence also founded the Verdi Club, a classical music society where she promoted young unknown opera singers, and it's fair to say that she made a significant contribution to the development and popularization of opera. She was even respected by Enrico Caruso himself, despite being bewildered by her singing. He admired her ambition, passion, and love for music. It's unclear whether the people surrounding Florence were secretly mocking her or genuinely supporting her despite her illness and its impact on her mental state. Florence's main accompanist at nearly all of her performances was Irish-Mexican pianist Cosme MacMoon. Despite working with her for years, he could barely contain her laughter during performances, as Florence would sometimes produce sounds so outrageous that even a rooster might be envious. She considered herself a lyric coloratura soprano and even attempted the Queen of the Nights from Mozart, the magic flute. Honestly, even parrot sings better. But the crowning moment of her career was, of course, her legendary performance at Carnegie Hall, a concert she could afford because of her wealth and influential friends. The concert took place on October 25, 1944. Florence was 76 years old at the time, and despite her health problems and evident vocal issues, she performed in front of a packed house that was in stitches from laughter, with many probably crawling out of the venue of their hands and knees afterward. Naturally, the critics tore her performance apart, writing that a worse singer could not possibly exist. Florence Foster Jenkins passed away a month later at the age of 76. She died a happy woman, having fulfilled her lifelong dream of becoming a professional singer and performing on the country's most prestigious stage. She truly did what she loved. She sang her favorite arias and did so in extravagant, unique costumes that she designed herself. Her most famous costume was an angel of inspiration, a white ground adorned with elaborate wings, which by the way was accurately recreated in the movie. The film also includes a funny scene where Florence recorded a record of her singing. Thankfully, this record has survived to these days. In 1937, is that despite everything, the story of this strange and unusual woman is inspiring in many ways. After all, despite the mockery, despite the snickering behind her back, she believed in herself and she considered herself unique, and in a way she truly was become even today. There is no one who could out-cringe our wonderful Florence. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed my video, and if it's true, please press the like button and support me by subscribing to my channel. It was the Alexander Umanchuk as always with you, and I don't tell you goodbye, I tell you meet you at the next time. Bye.